This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. I was Miss Alabaster 1943. My grandmother was Miss Swanee 1918, and all of my girls hold crowns too. But this girl, Anne-Marie, took the whole thing to an extreme. It takes a lot to make a runway champion. Hard work, good grooming, excellent smiles, and good old-fashioned desire to win. And Anne-Marie had all this and more. She tripped another toddler to grab Miss Toddle Tots 83. She stole another girl's gown to win Miss Junior Missy 88. She'd do anything to get the satin sash, but mostly she'd diet. Beauty queens tend to be on the slim side, that's true, but Anne-Marie nearly starved herself to death. She'd eat half a grape for breakfast and smell of tuna melt for lunch. Anne-Marie insisted she needed to lose at least another 5 pounds for the pageant. So Anne-Marie did what any mother warned against and started popping diet pills. And not just any diet pills, mind you. They were the real black market kind. You know, lose 10 pounds in 10 days, no exercise, no diet. Each pill was a weird yellow capsule the size of your thumb. It was kind of squishy, with little holes in it, but Anne-Marie didn't care. She'd win them crown if it killed her. She started on 3 pills a day and followed the instructions, which said not to drink any liquids. In 4 days, she lost the 5 pounds she'd wanted and hardly felt sick. Oh, sure, she was thirsty, but so what? If she lost another 5, she'd be a shoo-in, right? She started popping the pills 10 at a time and not a drop to drink. She was weak with sickness by pageant day. Everybody around her offered her food and water, but she refused. Her knees were wobbly and her head felt like she'd just been in a centrifuge. But once she hit the lights and saw the crowd, Anne-Marie walked the walk like a trooper. She was gorgeous and slim, really slim. Her mouth felt like the Sahara Desert, but all she had to do was hold on until she won. The whole audience roared in a unanimous decision. They rose in a standing ovation as she donned the crown and strolled down the runway. Anne-Marie was halfway through her victory walk when her nerves finally got the best of her, and she started to hiccup. One of the judges ran out with a cup of water, but Anne-Marie was not about to give in now. And as they were reading off all the prizes she won, the hiccuping got worse and worse. Anne-Marie had to try a sip of water, no matter what the instructions on the pill bottle said. But one taste of the water, and all resistance was gone. Anne-Marie gulped down cup after cup after cup. Too bad black market pills don't have to list their ingredients. If they did, this bottle would have said that the diet pills were actually micro sponges. And you know what sponges do when they soak up water. Anne-Marie blew up like a balloon. A water balloon. Every part, her dress zipper, every clasp, every button gave way as the tiny sponges inside her body soaked up the water. The embarrassed Miss Total Universe managed a few waddles and then rolled the rest of the way into the wings. Yes, it was a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Anne-Marie still tours the pageants, but now she hits the gym instead of the pharmacy. She's pumping up to be the next Miss Mighty Muscles.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Judy. Now, when we were kids, Judy had this thing for chocolates. Don't get me wrong, I totally support a person's constitutional right to chocolate. But Judy, well, she had this completely gross habit of taking a bite out of each chocolate in the box and spitting out the one she didn't like. Which meant that if Judy ever offered you a chocolate, you'd be getting half-eaten, saliva-coated rejects. Yeah, me. When the rest of us started dating boys, Judy started too. But she just wanted boys to show up at her door with a box of chocolates, and then she sent the boys home and ate the candy. Sometimes she'd arrange to have 2 or 3 dates an evening. You'd think with so many chocolate zits, she'd have a hard time getting a date. All I can say is thank goodness for pancake makeup. But Judy knew that she couldn't keep it up. She needed to find a permanent sugar daddy, so to speak, and fast. Fortunately, along came Milton Sweet, a sweaty, nervous geek. But he had one redeeming feature. His daddy owned the Sweet Treat Chocolate Company. So, a strategically dropped notebook here, a few bats of the old eyelashes there. Judy had them wrapped around her little finger. And after a few subtle hints, Milton was doing his own wrapping boxes of chocolates to give Judy as presents. Of course, Judy would spit out about 90% of them, but she was still happy. Until one day, Judy found the ultimate chocolate. Now, you'd think finding the ultimate chocolate would have made Judy ecstatic, which it did. Unfortunately, she inhaled the thing in 1.5 seconds, then discovered it was the only one of its kind in the box. The others all had the stupid gooey center she hated. Judy nearly had a conniption. The best chocolate ever, and only one of them in the entire box. She just had to get more. But it didn't matter how many boxes Milton gave Judy. There just weren't enough crunchy-centered chocolates in each box to satisfy her. Finding them soon became an obsession. Eventually, Judy realized the solution had been under her nose all along. All she had to do was fight her way through the mounds of discarded chocolate boxes piled up in her room. Then find Milton and convince him to sneak her into his dad's chocolate factory. There she could have all the crunchy-centered chocolate she wanted. Now, convincing Milton wasn't that hard. If Judy was thinking with her stomach, Milton was thinking with his hormones. He figured a nighttime tour of a spooky automated factory would allow Judy to get closer to her beloved chocolates, while he got closer to Judy. So that night, they sneaked inside the factory. Soon they found conveyor belts for chocolate-covered cherries, nougat, coconut, all spewing out 100 candies a minute, all of which Judy hated. Slowly but surely, they went through seemingly every conveyor belt in the place, coming across every chocolate-covered fruit, nut, or cream on the planet. But still, none of Judy's special crunchy-centered chocolates. Until finally, they came across one last conveyor belt, tucked away in the factory basement. Unlike the others, it was old and slow and nearly falling apart. Judy didn't like the looks of it at all. But in the interest of science, she tried one of the candies. Eureka! It had the crunchy, chewy center she'd been searching for. Without even thinking, she grabbed handfuls and began stuffing her face. But what was the filling? The sign on the filling vat said raspberry cream, but it sure didn't taste creamy or fruity. Overcome by curiosity, Judy decided to take a peek into the vat of filling to see what it was. And then she spit out her chocolate faster than she'd ever done in her life, because inside the vat, gorging themselves on raspberry cream filling and then falling onto the conveyor belt, were hundreds of crawling, squirming insects that had found a sweet place to nest. Her crunchy, chewy centers were cockroaches! Ugh. This is a true story, and it happened to a friend of mine, Judy, who never ate another chocolate again. And if I were you, I'd read the list of ingredients on your next box of chocolates very carefully.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Her name was Cindy. Not only was she head cheerleader, class of '63, dating the captain of the football team and the prettiest girl at Small Town High, she had the biggest, blondest, baddest beehive hairdo anyone had ever seen. And every other girl at Small Town High was green with envy. Yeah, Cindy's life was pretty much perfect. Or so everyone thought. You see, keeping a beehive looking perfect was hard work. But the real problem was that Cindy was lazy. Instead of washing her hair and resetting it from scratch, she'd just shellac it with a complicated mixture of plutonium hydroxide and glue, then sealed it with a little hairspray. Her mother had warned her of the consequences of not washing her hair, but Cindy didn't listen. All that mattered to Cindy was that nobody could tell the difference, even after her hair began to take on the properties of tempered steel. Everything seemed fine until Cindy's senior year, when she began to get these headaches. These throbbing, pulsing, pounding headaches. But they would always pass. Besides, no headache was going to interfere with the goal Cindy had worked towards her entire high school career. To be crowned Miss Teen Queen 1963 at the small town high prom. Soon the most important night of Cindy's life had arrived. There she stood on the gymnasium stage, all eyes on her, as the Miss Teen Queen 63 crown was lowered onto that golden spire of hers. A hush fell over the crowd as Cindy stepped up to the microphone. Her headache had returned, and this time more painful than ever. She fell to the floor, writhing in agony, clawing and pounding at her beehive, screaming, "Help! Make it stop! Make it stop!" Paramedics raced to the scene, but were unable to relieve the hysterical girl. Without a moment to spare, they rushed Cindy to the hospital. There, her beehive was immediately x-rayed to locate the problem. But to no avail. The rays couldn't penetrate that dew. "We've got to get inside that dew!" the doctor exclaimed. Regular surgical instruments just wouldn't cut it. Cindy's beehive had become an impenetrable block, heat-resistant and shatterproof. The doctor could see that Cindy couldn't take much more. So, as a last resort, he called for the experimental, high-speed, diamond-tipped XP9000 surgical saw. "Stand back!" he yelled, as the saw sliced through that beehive like a hot knife through butter. Her solidified tresses crashed to the floor. Cindy's beehive was completely hollow. The surgical team peered in for a closer look. And what they saw then made their blood run cold. A sight so horrific, so terrifying that it is etched in their memories to this very day. Crawling out from the hollow center of Cindy's beehive were spiders. Hundreds of big, black, ugly, hairy spiders! Hey, it's a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Oh, you still see Cindy around. She's easy to recognize. She's the one with the brush cut.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Actually, my very nosy co-worker, Tina. Want to know how nosy she is? Well, her nosiness caused loads of problems doing simple things like grocery shopping. She was always bumping into people while she was busy looking in other customers' shopping baskets. Tina and I worked at one of those big downtown hotels. It was great for Tina. Every day there were new visitors and new rooms with new luggage and new things that she could peek into. Now, don't get me wrong, she was very good at her job. Almost as good as I am at mine. Have you ever stayed in a hotel, kicked your shoes off, undressed and just left everything where it fell? Then you come back and find your clothes folded and put away, your bathroom stuff rearranged according to liquid volume and height, and your shoes are neatly lined up according to color. They even look like they were polished. Well, you've probably just been Tina'd. She was very conscientious. A model maid. She made great tips, too. And why not? When you've just spent the morning snooping around in everyone's luggage, toiletries, and drawers, it's a good idea to straighten up so no one notices what you've been up to. Tina worked at the hotel for a long, long time and was never caught. There were some very close calls, mind you. Like the time she was snooping through a lady guest's cosmetic bag and saw a shade of lipstick that she thought might suit her eye color. While she was borrowing a thick application of the stuff, the lady unexpectedly came back to the room. Tina was just quick enough to snap the lady's purse shut. The lady excused herself. "Don't let me get in your way, I just forgot my purse." Tina turned around and said, "No problem," with the biggest, freshest, reddest lips you've ever seen. You'd think the lady would have noticed, but she just complimented Tina and the shade of her lipstick and left. Then one fateful day, Tina learned a big lesson. It was a particularly busy weekend. There was a home furnishings trade show in town, and the hotel was full of furniture folk. Tina was cleaning up one of the delegates' rooms. Once Tina was sure the coast was clear, she started into her routine. She looked in the drawers. Then into the suitcase. Nothing there either. She headed to her never-miss area. The bathroom. Sure enough, she hit pay dirt. She eyed a group of identical exotic-looking spray cans. The label on them read, Super Strength with Conditioner. She picked one up, shook it, sprayed a little in the air, sniffed, then said, just what I needed. You see, Tina always had problem hair. She positioned herself in front of the mirror, took careful aim, and sprayed with all her might. Tina made sure she covered the top, back, and sides thoroughly. She stood back to admire her work, when suddenly her scalp started to feel funny. She noticed that the spray had begun to foam and bubble up on her hair. She figured it must be the conditioner part of the spray. Then the bubbles got bigger and bigger, bursting forth little poofs of warm gas. Tina wasn't worried, though, because sure enough, her patience paid off. Within a minute or two, everything had died down, and her hair was finally set in place. Wow, this stuff really works, she uttered as she marveled at the label once again. She was just about to turn the label around to see what was in the miraculous stuff when the door opened. She was caught can in hand. Fortunately, the guest was in such a hurry he hardly noticed. Just grabbed the can from Tina's hands with a friendly, "Thank you." Tina just smiled, knowing she had dodged another bullet. As the guest was leaving, he yelled back, "What kind of furniture stripper would I be without my samples?" Tina was frozen in her tracks. Sheer terror overcame her. She ran to the counter, picked up one of the other cans, quickly turned it over, and read clearly the rest of the label. Super Strength with Conditioner, Paint Stripper. She looked in the mirror, slowly tapped her rock-hard hair. It shattered into a million pieces, leaving her totally bald. It's a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Tina, who has become a fanatic about privacy. When she finds out someone is snooping, she flips her wig.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Joey, a high school basketball star wannabe. Not that Joey wasn't a righteous ball player, just not the best. Not yet, anyway. But he had plans, and one of them was to score a scholarship to a big-name college and then go on to the pros, where he'd become rich and famous. Yep, Joey was ambitious. He tried to do everything right. He even went out with the right girl, Mindy, the head cheerleader. And get this, her folks were loaded. I'd say Joey landed in a bucket of cream. Okay, so Joey's birthday was coming up, and Mindy wanted it to be something special. She was gonna throw a surprise party. And what a surprise! She loaded up on party supplies, you know, all the stuff, plus the biggest deluxe cake she could find. What about a gift? Well, Joey was such a lucky guy, she thought. Hey, a lottery ticket! Joey was surprised. Mindy'd invited the basketball team, the coaches, the cheerleaders, all the right inside people. They all sung, and some people could not sing. I'm telling you, it was terrible. And as always, there were pretty girls fawning at him, as they do in the presence of greatness, according to Joey. He was soaking up all the attention, a man in his element. So Mindy figures it's about time for the big present. She moved in next to Joey and handed over the lottery ticket. Now, Joey, of course, was expecting something a little more extravagant, maybe. I mean, a lottery ticket? What's that set you back? Couple of bucks? So he just said, gee, thanks, Mindy. Tossed the ticket on the table and then went back to flirting with the cute blonde that he'd been moving in on. Mindy didn't seem fazed at all. She picked up that ticket and then, being the perfect hostess that she was, wandered around chatting with all the guests. Being that the party was in full swing, no one was too interested in some nothing lottery show. That is, until the first 3 numbers matched the numbers on Joey's ticket. Then the next numbers were drawn, and they all matched. The last number was all that was left. Finally, Joey dragged himself away from the blonde and noticed what was going on the TV. The crowd watched the final ball tumble out of the machine, down the endless tubes, and into the little tray at the bottom. And the final number is 27. Joey snatched the ticket from Mindy and checked the numbers. Oh, I just won $23 million. I just won $23 million. Thanks, babe, he said to Mindy. But you know, I don't need you or your money anymore. I got my own. Yep, he was rich. Filthy, stinking rich. And as for all the 2-bit basketball players that like to hang around him, well, he didn't need them either. I don't even need to break a sweat for the rest of my life. Everyone looked stunned, except Mindy, who just smiled. Joey grabbed the blonde and said, I'm gonna claim my winnings and buy a new Porsche. Minnie didn't show any reaction, which was weird. But what she did next said it all. She walked over to the VCR and popped out the tape. She stepped away from the TV screen. It was the same host, but he'd drawn a different final number in the lottery. You just watched a taped version of last week's draw. Your ticket is for tonight, said Mindy. This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Joel. And Mindy, well, I'm dating her now, and believe me, I don't look at any other girls.